What is good, everybody? Welcome back to Joint Dropper Sports. I'm your host, Shanti Stewart, and today we're talking about a Super Bowl. Let's get it.
Lock my phone, put it back down. Let's try it again in the morning, bro.
I don't want it to jeopardize how you feel. You know what I'm saying? Because you are insane.
We got the news that talk us staying. Thank God, finally some good news.
Sometimes in life we have to admit that the haters were right. The haters may have had a valid point, and maybe we ignored all the signs. Everyone had been talking about the Patriots' schedule and how weak it had been, the role they had faced in the playoffs to this point. And I didn't want to give those excuses to those people because I wanted to give credit to a team that went out and got the job done. Like, no matter what, you won the games. Whether you win a championship because of a fluke-like accident or not, it's a championship, and you should herald it all the same. You should cherish it and everything. But we can't ignore what happened. The haters may have been right on this one. The New England Patriots had gone through a schedule that had been considered one of the weakest since, I want to say, like 1971 or something like that. It was a pretty crazy weak schedule compared to their peers. You look at the playoff run, of course, playing Justin Herbert with that banged up offensive line that hadn't been able to protect them for the majority of the season. You look at the Houston game where CJ Stroud had just been playing god-awful football, and also them missing some of their key weapons as well. And then you look at the Denver Broncos. They were missing their starting quarterback. So we saw how much that played a factor into that game as well. I won't say the New England Patriots wouldn't have gotten there regardless. I can't say that what happened is what happened. What I can say is they met up against the Seattle Seahawks team that had been playing well for the majority of the year. They had played well through the playoffs and came into that game healthy and came into that game being the better team that they were for the majority of it. So those were things that could not be disputed, could not be refuted. That Seattle defense, I talked about it in the last video that I dropped, and we can talk about it again here. I still don't have all the information here with me, but I'll just tell you how I'm feeling because that's why you're here anyway. That Seattle defense, the 2025 Seattle Seahawks defense, has to be in a top 10 of the greatest defenses to go win a Super Bowl. This team was on the cusp of pitching a shutout. They pitched a shutout through 3 quarters in this game. It was never close. When we go back and rewatch it, we'll go back and say, damn, if they could score a touchdown or two, this game was never in doubt. They never gave it a chance to be in question. Drake May didn't have a chance back there to sit in the pocket. Will Campbell, brother, I feel for you because you may have put forth one of the worst performances by an offensive lineman on this side of Mike Remmers. That's how bad that performance was. And can I say it was strictly because of the Seattle defense, or had there been signs that that offensive line for New England showed some leakage throughout that playoff run? If you go back and look at the Houston game, they showed some leakage. If you go back and look at I think even the Denver game as well, they, again, what wasn't awful, but showed signs that, hey, look, a good front will be able to get home against his offensive line. So yeah, but back to Seattle's defense, dog. I talked about it. You got guys like Leonard Williams, guys like Dexter Lawrence, guys like Nick Emmanwori, Devin Witherspoon, Love, Kobe Bryant. Dog, they play with such a ferocity. They play so clean. And that's the part that, as a former defensive guy myself, that's the part I admire. They're so crisp. You know what I'm saying? Everything looks right. When the Carolina Panthers played them, the first thing I thought of was that, bro, they're suffocating. They don't give you a chance to breathe. They sit in the zone. They're not even playing man to man all the time. They're sitting in the zone, and what they can do is they can win without blitzing. They can win without blitzing. They can win with the blitz. Once they start sending the blitzes, they start sending with Love, and they start sending Emmanwori from the secondary. Dog, you don't have a chance. There isn't a running back that is great enough at blitz pickup to help you stop all of these guys. And unless you have a stalwart at left tackle and right tackle, they're playing with house money for the majority of the game. So that's what I saw in that one. When we talk about the Seattle defense, I mean, they rival their predecessors in the Legion of Boom. They do. They absolutely do. They don't have the singular name like a Richard Sherman or a Cam Chancellor or Earl Thomas. But if you look at how they play as a collective, buddy, they are on par. They are absolutely on par. And you think about, some of the better defensive performances we've seen in the Super Bowl. We talk about 2000s Ravens, right? We talk about the 2013 Seattle Seahawks. And now when we throw the 2025 Seahawks in that conversation, all these performances are on par. I think probably the 2000s Ravens has the best performance because they didn't give up an offensive touchdown. The 2013 Seahawks also created touchdowns with their defense, as did the 2025 Seahawks, but the overall performance, the numbers look better. 2025, the Seattle Seahawks defense on par with those. Not better, but for sure on par. And I mean, who's to say? I don't know how long they'll do it for. I don't know if they'll have multiple years of playing up to this level. That we don't know. But in this season, that Seattle Seahawks defense is one of those ones. Now, on the flip side, the New England Patriots, obviously Drake May leading this team in his second year as a starting quarterback. Mike Vrabel, first year head coach, leading this team to the Super Bowl. The one thing we naturally want to do and tell people is that, you'll get another shot at it. It's not over. You have a long career ahead of you. You'll have other chances. And those things are true. It's not over, and you will have other chances. What I'll tell you is that there's a lot of great players that never got back. Matt Ryan never got back. Drew Brees never got back. Dan Marino never got back. Cam Newton never got back. So, as much as I would love to tell you that you'll have a chance to get back there, and you think about what this means in terms of Drake May, in terms of the history of the league, Dan Marino was the youngest quarterback to get to the Super Bowl and never saw it again. Drake May is second youngest, and now we have to see what's to become of his career. But there are very much things that the New England Patriots can do to improve themselves and make themselves a contender for next season as well. You talk about that receiving room. The first thing I'm saying is go find a way to get AJ Brown in the building. Because with as much hullabaloo he causes in that Eagles locker room, I don't know if they're going to be willing to part ways with him. I don't believe Nick Sirianni wants to part ways with that kind of talent, even just because they don't seem to get along. Because the mindset is you're better with them than you are without them, and I understand that. But eventually, between his level of play, the distractions he causes, can you keep moving along with this and as it continues to splinter the locker room? Because it does cause dissension within the group when you have these guys, constantly going back and forth within the media. Whether it be one guy or whether it be one guy saying something and the other guy not saying much at all or not. It's going to continue to cause a rift within that locker room. And I thought we saw bits and pieces of that play a part in their downfall this season. But for New England, you go make a splash for a wide receiver. And I say do that in free agency. I say try to do it. I say try to make a trade. And also, you got to continuously try to improve this offensive line. It ain't there yet. And I can tell you something right now. If you were bad, now, not that guys can't get better and not that guys can't improve, but you got to know, and you had to know throughout the entirety of the run, that this ain't good enough to win us a Super Bowl. Because when we look at Drake May's performance, and it's gonna be very forgettable, and it's going to be a stain on his legacy for the rest of his career. No matter what happens, that's gonna be a stain on his career, and they're gonna put that on him. But what we have to say is that, brother, it all starts up front. And for him, he didn't have a chance in hell when you're dropping back and you're constantly seeing pressures in your face. And he's young. And I told a friend of mine this, and I told him, I said, hey, y'all are early. Drake May is really early. Because who would have thought Drake May would be in an MVP conversation in his second season? Not me. Who would have thought Drake May would have you in a position to go win a Super Bowl? Not me. And I think that when you look at how he played throughout the entirety of this playoff run, I was of the mindset that he was due for a big game. He was due for a game that he played like in the regular season. But the reality is he never gave us any inclination that he could do it in the playoffs. And I think overall, you may have skated by. You may have skated. That may be the reality of this team. That you may have skated by and got the right schedule at the right time, and you made it here. And so the question is going to be, how do you go about improving? Because you will have a first place schedule, and you will not be able to skate by next season. You come back and you do it again, and you make the playoffs, and you win that division, then all is good. But all the eyes will be on you now. You are no longer the underdog Patriots. You are considered the big dogs now. Let's see how you handle it. I know Mike Vrabel will have his team prepared. I know he'll still be looking to find things he can improve upon. It is what it is. I will say I was kind of disappointed in the game plan though. I did expect more from Josh McDaniels in this game. I cannot lie. As much as I gave him credit, as much as I gave Mike Vrabel credit going into it, they did not show me what I thought I would see in a critical juncture. Didn't really see the adjustments. The drop back passing game, I said it even before. You're not going to be able to drop back pass against this defense because the only quarterback to this point that has been able to do it is Matthew Stafford, who's the MVP and the rightful MVP at that. Nobody else has been able to call up that defense. Oh, my bad. Aside from 44-year-old Phillip Rivers. So a man off his couch has played a shit ton of football throughout his lifetime was able to come in and do that to that defense. But if anything, it should tell you what the recipe was. A quarterback that's seen almost every single look that you could throw at him is the only quarterback that was able to figure out this defense. Everybody else, good luck, Charlie. I cannot leave this video and not give a congratulations to Samuel Darnold. He did it, y'all. He did it. He did exactly the opposite of what I thought he would do. I thought he would have that game where it's going to all fall apart. He's going to see ghosts. It's going to look like the guy that we've known for several years prior to this. But he did the exact opposite. He took care of the football. He took care of the football this entire playoff run. And in an NFC Championship game, he was the reason that team made it to this point. So credit to him, credit to that coaching staff, and it's a cautionary tale. And we've talked about it before. We talk about Sam Darnold, we talk about Baker Mayfield, guys like Bryce Young, and even guys like Josh Allen too, who it didn't always happen this early. It didn't always look this pretty this quickly. But you got to give it time, and you have to work on developing. Developing has to be where we get back to in this game, because there's too many guys that are capable that get chances later on in their careers, and all of a sudden they have it. All of a sudden it clicks. If you look at Sam Darnold's career and the places that he made stops in, he wasn't given a proper coach for an elongated period of time to be able to be successful. And so how could we look at him and say, damn, he just ain't got it? Now, there are times that he didn't play well, and I ain't going to excuse those and act like those didn't happen. There are times Sam just made dumbass mistakes, and there are times that fans were rightfully on his ass for making those dumbass mistakes. That is what it is. But getting to San Francisco, playing under Kyle Shanahan, well, playing being relative, you know what I'm saying? Working under Kyle Shanahan, getting to Kevin O'Connell, who's another great quarterbacks coach, a quarterback guru type, and then getting his opportunity there in Seattle. You gotta give him the credit. You have to give him the credit. I also have to think that Minnesota fans may be sick to their stomach right now that they let Sam Darnold walk out the building. I mean, when you think about how he played for Minnesota for the majority of last year, up until the playoff game, which I saw that comment, he played terrible in that playoff game. You can call it what you want to call it. You can make any excuse you want to make for him. He didn't play good in the playoff game. And if he had played good in the playoff game, I think he'd still be in Minnesota right now. But that's neither here nor there. You talk about a guy that had such a great season, and you talk about what he's done the last two seasons. He's been one of the best quarterbacks in the last 2 years. To not receive a single MVP and not even being considered for the MVP at all. You know what I'm saying? But he's played some of the best ball in the last 2 seasons that he should be commended for. It's not a fluke. It's not a fluke. It's not a mistake, because there was proof that, hey, look, he's getting better. He's starting to see it. He's starting to feel it more. And you look at even what he said in the post game, in the immediacy after the game, he talked about how we could have played better. We could have played better. Sam, I mean, kudos to him. I'm eager to see him continue to write the story to his career. Like, to see where he started, to see where he's at now. I'm eager to see how he continues to write the narrative of his career. And where does he finish? Where does he finish? Does this team have continued success? Is it a one-hit wonder type of season? Like what happens? I'm eager, and I think everybody should be eager to see how he finishes off his story. And I think that's the one thing that I want to give to all of these guys is the ability to finish off your own story. How it starts isn't how it finishes. And can you persevere and push through and find your way to the end where you reach your ultimate goal? I think I'm eager. I think we all, as sports fans, we should all be eager to allow these guys to continue to write their own narrative. And the final thing I'll say is that a talking point that we made before that we can make again, and it won't be long. Give your quarterback a defense to work with. The margin of error you have as a team when your defense can continuously get stops and get after the quarterback. And when I say get after the quarterback, you need to get there with 4 so you can drop more. When you have 4 guys that can go get after it, when you're able to plug in rushing lanes with dominant defensive tackles in the interior, it allows you to do so much more with your defense. The versatility that you're able to play with, the speed and ferocity you're able to play with, based off of what you can do up front, is amazing. This game is won and lost in the trenches, no matter how many yards guys throw for, no matter how many touchdowns are caught. The trenches is where it ends and begins. Don't forget about it. Invest in it. That's all I got for you. That's word of my brother Ace. You know what I'm saying? The trench master himself. You feel me? But this has been Drum Dropper Sports. I'm your host, Shanti Stewart, and I'm out.